Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on Morning Line on this Monday. Nick Barris here. We've got a busy show planned. It always gets, I don't know, the phone lines load up when we talk Social Security, disability, and the like. And we're going to get the phone number up there for you in a moment. But just want to remind you, start calling early today. And keep in mind, I was just reminding our guests as they sat down, and I'll introduce you to them in a moment, that, again, there are those of you watching us on Channel 250. Others still, Channel 50 in some areas of our viewing population. And then you can catch us on broadcast now, 5.2. If you're not on cable, but you have an antenna system and you have the box, you can get us on 5.2 through the broadcast system, completely free of charge there, no cable. So invite all of you to join this morning in the conversation as we do talk about Social Security and disability. And now, let's introduce our guests to you. Mike Walker's with us. He is an attorney who handles Social Security cases, appeals, and the like, folks trying to get their benefits. Mike, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Nice to have you on. He's got an office in Jamestown and here in the Nashville area at Nippers Corner. And really, the next man needs no introduction, but I'm going to do it anyway. Daryl House of Payne.
Okay, great.
Daryl Payne with the Social Security Administration. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. You know, we've been doing this for years.
We have, and I don't really mean that you're a House of Pain. I mean, you help an awful lot of people. Now, it's nice because we have Mike here.
Absolutely.
To offer the legal point of view for folks who call in that are struggling with their benefits. But you...
Well, you help a lot of people as well.
We get the word out.
Yes.
And I have learned a ton from you.
Yes.
About this. Now, I'm still not convinced that I'm going to get Social Security when I retire someday.
It'll be there, trust me.
You're telling me it's going to be, you think you're going to?
It'll be there.
It'll be there.
It'll
really?
Be there.
Social Security is Social Security. It will be there.
Did I read somewhere just recently where they're thinking, because of the way the economy's been going and all of that, that there may not be the typical Social Security boost this next year? Everyone gets a certain cost of living increase, right?
Yeah,
usually.
you know, cost of living is usually based on an inflation and pricing, and now things are going down, so there's a little dichotomy there. I'd say stay tuned. You know, cost of living adjustments are usually based on October, November, and December's quarterly earnings, and so stay tuned.
Okay, I was just curious. I saw that, and here's the thing. If cost of living doesn't match up with the economy, I mean, people won't like that, but the bottom line is things hopefully aren't costing more.
True.
So they don't need that increase, but I know everyone does look forward to that.
But you know my exciting news.
What, yeah, you was telling us. I had trouble finding your other office before, all right?
Well, we've got a new office.
Oh, this one will be easier for me to find.
It'll be easier to find.
So the whole Nashville office is moving?
The whole Nashville district office. We have another office in Madison. That's staying put.
All right.
But the main district office is moving to 120 Athens Way. That's in Metro Center.
Okay.
And it's going to be a fine new, brand new office.
There we have the graphic up saying exactly where.
Excellent.
120 Athens Way. This is going to begin the week of August 26th. You're moving everything over there. Your office will be there. I mean, there's a nice little Euro place right there in the old, I think, place. So I'm going to come down there and I'll take you for a sandwich. How about that?
Hey, let's do it.
Well, so you're moving there. And let me get this clear, too, if you would. How many folks actually physically need to come down to the office ever? You always say do it online or by phone, right?
The best way to deal with Social Security now is online. We're pushing that. Of course, you always have an option of coming in or talking to someone over the phone, scheduling an appointment. But during that week of the move, we're going to have limited service. Our office will still be open, but we will have limited computer access, limited service. So if you really have some business to take care of with us, I suggest you come in this week. Next week, you still can come in, but again, it's going to be limited services. Now, September the 4th, we're going to be up and running in the new office, and everything will get back to normal.
Okay.
But we, again, are looking forward to the new move. We encourage the public to go to the electronic service if you can, online. If not, still come in and see us. We'll take care of you. But again, it's going to be limited services.
Sounds good.
Next week.
Well, we'll remind folks of that throughout the show today. Again, now the number is 737-7587. Questions or comments about Social Security? Mike, I'm just curious. At this point, I mean, I think you sat down and you said you have literally hundreds of cases you're handling right now.
Yes, we have probably 500 to 600 active cases now, and they vary from, as Daryl said, people coming in and signing. We do it online, just like he's talking about, and then we have them at the reconsideration level, and then all the way to the hearing level. I probably average 15 to 20 hearings a month, so that's basically about one every working day.
Well, you know, that's a lot, but I can see why you're busy because it's every level. One thing I've learned from Daryl throughout all of this is that if you're denied initially, do not give up.
Absolutely.
One, your condition can change.
right.
Two, you may have done something wrong. And eventually, sometimes folks do end up thinking, well, I need the help of a lawyer.
I think statistics say that around 29% of people are approved at the initial level, and about 9% are approved at the next level of reconsideration, and then the bulk of the approvals come by just laying in there and going through the hearing process, because the judges have a different standard than the lower levels do, ironically, which is amazing to me, but that pretty much is the way it is.
Is that standard more likely to pass it on, or is it more stringent in
Well,
your
no,
experience?
the judges are more likely to follow what we call the Social Security regulations.
Okay.
And they're more versed and know those regulations very well. And so if you, as a representative, can point out the law that should allow that case to be paid, then that usually works with the judge.
Okay. If
Good
let's
answer.
do
I like Mike.
Yeah, I see.
Great.
let's lay out just for folks too. Obviously, many who are applying for Social Security disability benefits along those lines, they don't have a lot of money in the bank. This is something they're dependent on. So when someone seeks out a lawyer, how are you paid? Let's just remind folks how this works out.
Well, my big motto is, if I don't win, you don't owe me anything.
Right.
So you hire me on a contingency basis. The way that the Social Security law is set up now, I'm allowed to get 25% of a person's back pay up to a maximum of $6,000 as of last month.
Okay.
And so that's how I get paid, and if I get them $25,000, $30,000 in back pay, then I get 25% of that, but it's capped at $6,000.
Okay. And again, if you make the difference, they're getting something they wouldn't have had anyway, and that's the way they pay. But meaning you don't have any out-of-pocket expense unless he wins for you.
Absolutely. I never charge the people. They don't have any money to begin with. That's
Yeah.
why they're applying for disability.
Now, that's not to say folks won't come in sometime and they'll present to you the case that they were denied, and you'll look at it, and you may see folks sometimes, and you'll say, well, I can understand why you were denied. Under the criteria, you do not qualify, sir.
Absolutely.
I mean, if things get worse, but I'm sorry, you just don't. You see that sometimes?
Yes, absolutely. You see people that either they didn't know how to approach the case, or quite frankly, they just didn't have enough medical evidence, or maybe they are disabled, but they didn't know how to prove their case.
Right.
They didn't have a doctor on board that would say, look, these are your restrictions and your impairments, and those impairments are what are used to convince the judge that you should be awarded benefits.
Okay. And Daryl, before we get to the phone lines, any other points of late, some of the calls, contacts? Obviously, the move's the big deal, but anything else you want to touch on before, we open these up and it gets rocking?
Well, our agency, again, is pushing online services every day.
Okay.
Around the clock. That's a big push at Social Security. Going online, you can do more and more things. The retirement estimator, when people are planning to retire, I strongly urge you to go to the retirement estimator, because it spells out at 62 how much your check would be, at 63 or 64, and you can play around with that and determine what would be best for you. So go online, check out that retirement estimator. It's a great tool.
And that is at?
www.socialsecurity.gov. It's at the Social Security website. You'll see a link that says retirement. Just click on that and you'll find the information.
And of course, as you know, there are many of our viewers who maybe do not have access to a computer at home. If you get a chance, certainly almost any public library has that, where you can get into it, or maybe you have a friend, a neighbor, or someone where you can get on there and just kind of surf around the site, and it will help answer a lot of your questions. And that is one way you can also file, correct?
Yes, exactly.
All right. Listen, the number is 737-7587. Want to join in the conversation? We've got a couple lines open, but it's filling up. So let's see what folks have on their mind. And we will start things off this morning with Lee. Lee, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Lee. How can we help you?
Well, I was just wondering, how can Social Security build new offices and have everything and not raise Social Security for the elderly when we are only living on Social Security and prices are so high now we can't hardly afford medicine and food?
Well, our offices are leased. Every 10 years we have to, and this is through government procurement, we have to move. Every 10 years the office is leased. So it's a part of the government in housing us. Every 10 years we usually are moving. But that money is not coming out of the Social Security Trust Fund, I'm sure. But again, we are moving, and it's based on our leases up.
Well, and I
10
wonder,
years.
now here's the thing, I'm just curious as we go to break, and I figured we'd get a call like that, and that was perceptive by Lee, at least, to try to ask that. But I'm guessing, now you don't have to move when a lease is up necessarily, but I'm wondering if perhaps the move to Metro Center may be made, and you may not know this, because it's a more affordable rent.
Well, again,
I don't
that
know,
is
is it
true.
are you getting a better deal in Metro Center than this office you had there, or are they just eager to put something else in that office over there, forcing you to move?
Well,
know?
we have other federal government offices there. We have the
Where, in
office
Metro
of-
Center?
Yeah, we have the
Yeah.
Office of Hearings and Appeals, the Disability Board. We have several federal agencies there, not only with just Social Security, but several others.
Okay.
So, I guess that'll make it easier for the
Consolidating
public
everyone there.
to go from one place to another. So that's a part of the move.
For convenience.
And then too, there is a cost factor. We, sure it'd be nice to be off of West End somewhere, but we can't afford that. So this is the most cost-effective area that we could find.
Okay, and as we go to break, Lee, also, they're not building a new building. This is an existing structure over there. They will just be moving operations into whichever building you're leasing out there. in
Yeah.
Metro Center, where, you remember, Metro Center had a lot of space there for a while.
Well, actually, it is a new building.
Oh, wait, but did they
are-
construct it for Social Security?
Yes.
Oh, then,
And
well, now I
actually-
can see. Why did they do that,
But you
Daryl?
know what? Usually builders are involved with this. They contract, they build it. We have another entity that actually owns the building. Social Security doesn't.
Oh,
We
okay.
just lease it, but the builder builds it to spec, and then we
Okay.
lease that spot that they have built for us.
So it's not as though a building that Social Security has purchased for itself, someone
Right.
else. So something else could end up there in 10 years.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, but it is a building. I just know that there were a lot of open spaces there. When Metro Center first came and then didn't survive, and all this vacant. It's a new facility that's there near the others.
Yes, yes.
Okay, but again, none of that money coming out of the Social Security
No, it's a
fund.
private builder that's building
Yeah,
it
that's
to
right.
Social Security
Okay.
specs.
All right, listen, we'll take a
Great
break on
question.
that note, and when we come back, lines are loaded. We'll start ripping through it. We've got two great guests here who will be able to answer and help you with your questions on Social Security after this. Stay with us. Welcome back, everyone, to Morning Line. Nick Barris here on this Monday. As always, lots of calls, busy shows. Social Security, one line open if you want to join in the conversation with us to help answer your questions. Daryl Payne with the Social Security Administration, son of Juanita. And we have Mike Walker, an attorney. Do you think Juanita?
Oh, she's watching.
She's watching in
Oh,
Columbia with all her friends.
with her News Channel 5 cap.
I love it. Mike Walker also with us, an attorney who handles the appeals process and for folks who are pursuing Social Security benefits. Let's go next to our line. We have Mary. Mary, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi,
Good
Mary.
morning.
I'm in a bit of a situation and need advice how to proceed. I have a 7-month-old grandson who was born with the most severe form of spina bifida. He's terribly disabled and will be for the rest of his life. My daughter had begun the process of filing for disability. She has since become incarcerated, unfortunately, and I have gained custody of my grandson. My question is, do I pick up the application where my daughter left off, or do I start the process fresh all over again?
Well, I would definitely pick up where your daughter left off. If the case is still active, what you could do is call the disability board or call back and give me your phone number and I'll check on it for you. But definitely, if the claim is still active, pursue it. If it's not, you need to schedule an appointment at 1-800-772-1213, 1-800-772-1213. Schedule an appointment. More than likely, the child is probably potentially eligible for the Supplemental Security Income Program, and that's a program where you've never worked before, or the parent has little or no income, and can get a check for I think the maximum amount is $674, but more importantly, probably for you, is the medical assistance that you will get. So call back, give me leave your number. I'm going to call you back. We'll check on that.
Okay, very good.
Okay, Mary, stay on the line. I'm going to put you on hold, and Mary Elena back there. Mary's on line 4. If you can get her number, and Mary, just be ready, because Daryl, he always does this. Sometimes he'll take numbers when it's a more complex thing, and I appreciate you doing that. And in this case, a 7-month-old who, my gosh, what a situation. All right, let's go next to Kirby. Kirby, good morning.
Hello.
Hello, Kirby. Go ahead, pal.
Yeah, I'm actually going through the appeal for the SSI benefits, and I wonder how long does that usually take?
Okay, what stage are you at right now?
Well,
You
I
were
had
den-
I already seen the judge,
Okay, you've already been.
And the judge had denied me.
Okay, so have you appealed to the appeals council?
Yes, that's why I wonder how long does that take?
Well, good luck, because that's a $64,000 question. That can last anywhere from a couple of months to a couple of years, and I hate to tell you that, but it just depends a lot on the worker that you're assigned in Falls Church, Virginia. And so, you know, that I would try to continue to supplement the record with any new evidence that you might be able to come up with. Sometimes they'll take it, sometimes they won't. They'll say that you're stuck with what you had in front of the judge. And it may take you a long time to find that out. But keep this in mind, you can also sign up again while that appeal process is going on. I think it's something like 90 days or so after you've been denied, you can file a new application. So you might want to keep that in mind as well.
I'm glad the attorney mentioned that. So definitely file a new claim and still keep your old claim pending up in Falls Church.
Yeah, you file a new claim even if his condition hasn't changed? Just start all over again?
Yeah, he can, and that's his right. Now, usually, though, most people, because they've had a lot of time in this, their conditions worsen.
Has your condition worsened at all, Kirby?
No, it stayed.
What do you have?
Since I was 3 years old.
Oh, okay. What do you have? What's your condition?
Myasthenia gravis.
What?
Myasthenia gravis.
What is that?
It's a muscle disease.
Okay, and it doesn't allow you to work, and you've had that since you were a child?
Yes.
I see. Okay. All right. Well, then the condition is there. It seems like it's static, but I mean, it could take up to 2 years potentially at this stage he's at right now. So he might want to consider reapplying. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Again, it's frustrating as can be, I know, Kirby, but you just don't give up, right?
That's right. And you know, the thing about it is you have to realize that maybe you had the medical condition, but you didn't have the legal part of your case in order for the judge to approve you.
Yeah.
It's not enough to go in and say, look, I've got this disorder. You've got to have the medical records to back that condition and try to get a specialist or at least a general practitioner to agree that you're disabled. It's not just enough to go in and say, hey, I'm disabled, generally speaking.
And I'm just curious, Kirby, and certainly you're more than capable of doing this on your own. Have you sought the help of an attorney at this point?
Yeah, I actually have one.
Okay, so you have one. So, I mean, that you know what I would do if I were in a situation like that? I would maybe try to do it on my own if I had all the records and try to follow the rules. And if for some reason I failed, that's when I would probably turn to an attorney and say, gosh, I probably didn't do something right, or maybe I messed up. Some people may start with an attorney right off the bat, or they may come to you once the process has started, right?
Well, generally speaking, I like them from the ground up. And the reason is because a lot of times when they're completing the paperwork on their own at the initial levels, they may not understand the questions correctly. And then that may come back to haunt them in the end when you get in front of a judge. Some of those questions are very, very simple, but some of them take some thought, and you know, the more that you get involved early on with an attorney, in my estimation, the better off you are. Not because I'm looking for work, I'm covered up, but on the other hand, just covering all the bases from the ground up is a good thing.
Yeah, and one point worth making, Daryl, if Kirby for some reason follows this through and say 2 years from now, the decision comes back in his favor, he gets retro pay?
Yes, he does. He'll get back pay from the date of when they declared him as being disabled. So if he says, I was disabled back in 2002 and it's now 2010, they potentially can go back that far and pay
thousands and thousands of dollars. Of course,
sir.
the question is, how do you live while you're waiting for a decision? And that's the
always the
pickle for so
problem.
many people.
Yes.
All right, let's go to Paulie. Paulie, good morning. Are you there, Paulie?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead.
I have been a trauma nurse for 26 years, and in 2000 I had to go on disability due to kidney cancer and back and leg problems. And last week I received a letter saying that I have Medicare and I had Unicare, and my Unicare was going to be canceled September the 1st, 2009. And so I did an appeal, but what I'm concerned about, they told me that since I did the appeal that I would have insurance until the hearing, and I only have Medicare Part A because I didn't know the system well enough to get B, and I do have D that covers my medication, I believe. I'm not sure. But my question is, Well, how do I go about getting a secondary insurance? I can't. A only covers the hospital. I can't see my oncologist anymore, my primary care, and I'm seeing a psychiatrist.
Okay.
So I just don't know what to do. I mean, I'm just. I've been to the disability place, and I have been to the DHS.
Okay, well, so you're looking for your secondary insurance now. What should you do?
This is a major problem. It's a major issue, and I see it cropping up more and more and more.
What is that? That someone doesn't go ahead and sign up for this as a backup?
B. They
Part
don't
B.
sign up for Part B, and more, it's getting people in problems like this lady's having now. Because see, with Part B, after you work, you have like 8 months to sign up for it. If you do not sign up for it after 8 months, you have to wait until January, February, or March to sign up for it. It's not effective until July. What do you do in the interim? I don't know. There's some places where you can go get free health care. Free RX is one of them online. What I would suggest to this lady, was it Kirby?
This is Paulie.
Paulie, I would suggest that you contact the Tennessee SHIPS department, and they're health insurance specialists that can help you navigate through this difficult period. But again, I want to strongly urge the public, be careful when you say, I refuse Part B, because 9 times out of 10 it's going to come back and it's going to haunt you.
So she can still get on it, but it's going to be a waiting period for her. Now, if you do, let's say when she had the opportunity, she had this other insurance, okay? But you can still accept Part B and just take it there. Now, is that costing you anything to carry while you have your other insurance? How much is that?
Yeah,
Is
see,
this a
the
small
Part
amount?
B is $96.40. To me, that is a great peace of mind of having that
Backup.
insurance.
Meaning I can see why at first blush someone in that situation would say, well, I have my insurance here.
Right.
$96 a month's a lot of money. I'm not sure I want to do that. But I guess you never really know, and you realize if you don't do it, you end up in her situation.
Yes, and really, it's such a tough situation to navigate. I want you to call back and leave your number too, because I need to steer you to a couple of places. But public out there that are listening to this caller, be careful when you deny or terminate your Part B, because I've seen a lot over the years, and it's hurting people.
About that before.
It's hurting people, and I'm seeing more and more and more of this. Maybe it's due to the economy. Everybody's trying to save a dime. But that's one area that it's not worthy of saving or cutting out, because you never know when you're going to have a medical crisis. And when you have one, you know, these hospitals are looking for that Part B, and you tell them, hey, I don't have it, then you're going to get into a real problem. So be careful in denying yourself or cutting out that Part B. But call back, because we need to talk further about that.
I'll take a break now. As we go to break, another one, Mary, for you to get the number. It's Polly, and she's on line 6, and we'll pass that on to you after the show. Look, we'll take a break. Back with more of your phone calls with our guests talking Social Security right after this. Stay with us. Back on Morning Line, our guests with us this morning talking about Social Security. Daryl Payne with the Social Security Administration. Mike Walker, an attorney who handles Social Security cases. Thanks both for coming on. Appreciate it this morning. As always, it's busy. Let's get back to the lines. And Chip. Good morning, Chip.
Good morning.
What's your question, pal?
I got good news.
Okay.
All righty.
Yeah, from Social Security. Where I was on disability because I turned 65, I'm no longer on disability.
Right.
And yet, I was told by Social Security's 800 number several years ago that I still have to, that I wouldn't get it until another time.
Did it change your benefit, Chip?
No, it doesn't change my benefits at all because I'm on disability.
Okay.
And it doesn't do a thing for me.
I didn't know if you got more or less when you turned that. Now, why is that significant, Daryl, that
Well, at age,
I mean, just I know he's now
Sure.
no longer considered on disability, but now on just regular Social Security.
yeah, at age 65, disability stops and retirement kicks in, and then the disability, and I know Mike knows more about this, that disability rate is paid at 100%, so there's no reduction in your check amount. Like if you take retirement at 62, there's usually like a 25, 27% reduction, but with disability, folks that get that, there is no reduction. You get your full benefit amount.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's what's significant, and I guess because of it now, if all of a sudden he were to miraculously be healed from all whatever ailed him, you know, he's 65 now, so it's a non-issue with regard to his disability.
Good, that is good news.
Okay, well, Chip, good for you, Chip. I appreciate that. A little good news there. And let's see, we'll go next to Rick. We've got a couple Ricks, and let's go to this one first. Rick, go ahead. Are you there, Rick?
Yes.
Oh, hey, what's your question, pal?
I've been disabled for 10 years now, and every 3 years they review me, and I'm always worried about losing my disability. You know, I've had neighbors say if they see you out mowing the yard or anything, they can take your disability away from you. And I just wondered, is that true or not?
Well, you know, and Mike joined in with me, there's a continuing disability review process. Everybody that's on disability, you will be reviewed from time to time, and of course that's protecting our taxpayers' coffers, make sure that folks that are disabled receive it, folks that aren't should be off of it. So everybody that's disabled will be reviewed from time to time. The thing to remember, though, is if your case is reviewed and they deny it, you have just 10 days to ask for your payments to continue. If you miss that 10-day payment window or cycle of getting in the office and requesting your payments to continue, your check's going to stop. So the key thing with continuing disability review is to make sure that if it is denied, you come in the office right away and request that your payments be continued. Of course, there's the medical aspect of this as well, and review of your medical records, and maybe Mike will talk more about reviewing medical records.
That's exactly a good point, Daryl. You know, some people get on disability and they think, well, now I've proven my case and I don't have to worry about it anymore. But generally speaking, when you go to your doctor, when you're following up with visits, always continue to tell them the problems you're having. Don't just go in and say, well, I'm here for my refill. You go in and keep expounding on why you are disabled, so that it'll get into your doctor's record, so that whenever you are reviewed, if and when you're reviewed, then you will have something to back up your disability again.
Excellent point. I guess from someone on the outside looking in like myself, I'm wondering, now there's a separate category I'm going to set over here where there's just flat out, you know, Social Security fraud. Someone who's getting disability and they just aren't. But then aside from that, let's not talk about that. I want to ask you about how disabled do you have to be? This gentleman, I understand, is on disability, but he's worried about mowing his own lawn. Now, if you are healthy enough to mow a lawn, does that mean you shouldn't be on Social Security disability? I'm thinking there are probably reasons why he could mow a lawn and still be disabled. I see people with handicap placards downtown all the time, walking right by me, getting in the car. Now, sometimes I see them and they're schmucks who are using that placard that's not theirs, and they shouldn't be doing that to park for free. But others, you can't tell by looking. They may have severe hypertension. They may have any number of conditions that you can't tell by just looking at them. But I'm just curious, how disabled do you have to be, and can he mow his lawn?
Well, absolutely mow his yard. The test for disability is, can you sustain work on an 8-hour per day, 5-day per week basis on a regular and continuing.
Excellent point.
And if you can't do that, just because you can mow your yard, maybe you're mowing your yard, but your yard may be, what, 1/10 of an acre?
Yeah, or you're taking a break every 20 minutes.
You're mowing one round and then you have to stop. You know, so the real test is, can you sustain work on any level 5 days a week on an 8-hour per day basis? And if you cannot, then there's a Social Security ruling 96-8P that says you should be able to draw disability despite being able to mow your yard and do minimal things like laundry, or, you know, there's just, as long as you can't work on a sustained basis, you're entitled.
Yeah, he may like to wash his car, so
that's okay.
Do your daily activities. But again, as Mike has stated, the crux of the whole deal is, if your condition was severe when we initially approved you and it hasn't changed, and maybe most of the time conditions worsen, don't worry about the neighbor. You know whether or not you're committing fraud. You know, and so if you are, sure, hopefully we will catch you. You know, we do have vans that go out with special TVs.
The video. Well, yeah, if your disability is that you've got a chronic back problem and they get you on video moving that couch for your neighbor, you're probably going to be in trouble.
Probably.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. But all right, but that's the fraud case, and I think there's other cases like you point out that fit the bill, even though you can do things like mow your lawn. Let's go now to another Rick. Rick, good morning.
Good morning, Nick.
Hey, Rick. Good.
I have to first say Daryl does a good job of following up on these calls because he's done that with me in the past.
Yeah, I appreciate him doing
here in
that.
North Carolina.
Yeah.
But,
North Carolina.
My question is, when the president came on TV and said something about the health care, Medicare works, the VA works, at what cost is that going to cost us Medicare recipients? Is there going to be an increase in Medicare like there was when they added Part D? Do you see that happening in the near future?
I hadn't heard of that, and really, in terms of healthcare now and what's going on politically, I'm staying away from it because it's not decided yet. They're still working that out, and it's a political hot box, and mainly this show's about Social Security disability. But I appreciate you, my friend in North Carolina, for asking that, and we'll stay tuned. I hadn't heard where premium and things are going to be going up any further in terms of Part B, your medical insurance. In fact, this year, the premium didn't go up at all. It remained at $96.40. So we'll stay tuned on that.
Yeah, and it is just have to be wait and see. And I know with you especially, working for Uncle Sam, you don't take any of these political hot potatoes.
Oh, no.
You don't take a side one way or the other, and I understand exactly why. Let's go to Vivian. Vivian, good morning.
Yes.
Hi, Vivian. What's on your mind?
I have a son. I'm on disability myself. I have a...
Just talk to us on the phone, Vivian, and turn your TV down.
I have a 17-year-old son that currently gets disability as a result of my income.
Okay.
He's going to turn 18 in December, and he's still a high school student. I need to know if that will stop after he turns 18.
Is your son disabled?
No, I'm disabled. He gets dependent income.
Okay, yeah, it would stop once a child reaches over 19 and 2 months of age. If they're still in school, if they're over 19 and 2 months of age, it stops. Once he graduates, it stops. If he is disabled, if he has a disability and it can be documented prior to age 21, then he can draw a benefit off the parent's record. But if he's not disabled and he's getting ready, this is last year of school, it's going to stop.
Okay.
So what if he goes on to college?
They used to pay that back in the 80s, but they've ceased that. It stops after high school. That's the end of it.
So
I'm just a messenger.
Yeah. So, yeah, I see what she was after on that, but I also understand. He's an adult now, and he's not disabled. It's time for him to go out and make it on his own. And you know what? You should be glad he's not disabled. Get him out there, get a job, and get on with your life like everyone else. And so he shouldn't be getting that, frankly, in my opinion, if he's not disabled. She can continue to get her benefit, but he's an adult now. You're on your own, pal. All right, let's go to Shirley. Shirley, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Shirley. What's on your mind?
Yes, I have a daughter, and she's disabled, but she just had a baby and is 7 months old. And I was trying to find out, do I need to help her about, putting a child with her income, or how does that work, or what do I need to do?
Okay, so you have a daughter, and she's had a 7 month. She's got a child, 7 months of age.
Correct. And she's 19. My daughter is.
Okay.
And they just diagnosed her with bipolar, ADHD, a whole bunch of stuff.
Your daughter?
Right.
Okay. If your daughter is on SSI, Supplemental Security Income, they do not pay benefits to their offsprings, their children, but now she's on disability where she's worked and paid into Social Security, but by her being so young, it's kind of doubtful. But if she has worked some, we don't require her to have like the 40 credits. She may only have to have 6 or 12 or 8. And if that's the case, then the child could receive a benefit off of her record. But if she's on SSI only, then the only person that'll get the check is your daughter.
Oh, okay.
All right. Does that sound okay?
Yes.
Okay. Appreciate your call. Listen, we need to take a break on that note. Back with more calls right after this. Stay with us. We are back on Morning Line talking Social Security with our guests, Daryl Payne from Social Security Administration, Mike Walker, attorney. He's got an office here in Jamestown and Nippers Corner as well here in the Nashville area. And Mike, you were talking about something that Daryl was pointing out about when you can take your Social Security and if all of a sudden something medically happens to you if you take it early.
I see many times in my practice where people are 62, start taking their early retirement, and then something medically happens to them. They can go ahead and file for the remainder of that money that Daryl was talking about that they're not getting, the 29% or whatever. If something medically happens to you between ages 62 and 65, you can proceed with an application during that period of time and get additional benefits.
That will increase the amount.
That's correct.
Great point.
Excellent point. All right, let's go now to, let's see, is it Norma? Norma, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Norma.
Hi. Well, I have an unusual situation, I think. I have a letter stating in Social Security, I drew a SSI check until I was shortly after I got married. And they took it because I got married and my husband had more income. And so I have cerebral palsy. So that type of disability does not disappear. In fact, I would say it gets worse over time. So when I went through my divorce, I reapplied for my check, and I thought I would have no problem in getting it back, seeing as how it doesn't go away. But I didn't. So I put myself through school, and I did attempt to work, but I was not able to work any job I've ever had. I've never had a full-time job. And so I haven't paid enough in to draw Social Security, and now it's getting to the point I'm having surgery actually tomorrow on my feet to remove bone spurs and do some other things where my condition's deteriorating in different ways. But I have TennCare currently, which they're trying to take away, but I haven't been able to go to an orthopedist, just my medical doctor, and I've applied. I have talked to a lawyer, but they wouldn't see me until after I did the initial process myself. I thought it was quite interesting. That gentleman said that he likes to get you from the ground floor because I was looking for someone like that. But I just wonder, am I missing anything in this process? Because it's to the point now where I am still trying to work because you have to you have to have a roof, right? And I've moved back in with my children, so we kind of combine resources.
Okay.
And it takes less to live on that way.
Sure. Well, let's see. Mike, any suggestions?
Oh, yeah, she may have some issues there. You know, when you're trying to work, we've got a thing called substantial gainful activity, and if you are making too much money, and I think it's somewhere a little right at $1,000 a month.
No, sir, I'm not making that.
All right, then you should be. You will be able to proceed and try to work as long as you can hold down a 40-hour per week job. And you're making less.
No, sir, I'm nowhere near that. In fact, the job I'm doing now, this is the first time I got to say I've ever worked for minimum wage, and I'm thrilled that it went up, but I still don't make anywhere near $1,000 a month.
Okay, so that's not the issue there then for her. Why do you think she was denied when she reapplied with the same exact condition?
You have to go and prove that same case over again. You have to go through the same process you went through initially. Sometimes people get lucky and get approved early on in the process the first time around, and that does not mean the next time around that you will be approved early, even with the same or worse condition. So this person sounds like an intelligent lady that has some major medical problems, but she'll have to prove her case again. And what I would suggest is when she does see her specialist, she's on TennCare. When she sees her specialist or her regular doctor, make sure she's documenting all the problems that she has. Make sure she's telling the Social Security Administration up front that I am trying to work, but I can't work 40 hours a week. And generally speaking, judges are sympathetic to people they'd rather see someone trying and doing the best they can do than to see somebody out here just trying to load up on the system, so to speak. So they're very compassionate most of the time. If you're very honest with them and you got the medical documentation, you will succeed in the end, but it's going to be a rough road.
Let me ask you this, in your experience, Mike, doing these cases in front of judges, How helpful would it have been for her to have a letter, because she said she attempted to work several times and just wasn't able to, get a letter from her supervisor?
Absolutely.
That states that, hey, you know, we tried her and she was not able to do the job because of her condition.
That is absolutely a very good point, Daryl. I had a case recently where a lady had major motor seizures, in other words, epilepsy, and she kept having the grand mal seizures on the job. And they tried to work with her. She was a smart girl. They tried to work with her. She kept having them, and finally they had to terminate her. And I went to the employer, had them to fill out a letter stating why they terminated her, and that probably helped sew up her case, because the judge then looked at that and said, I understand.
Excellent.
And as long as getting back to the employer situation, if you befriend someone and let them put in writing why that you couldn't do the job and what they observed, that'll go a long way toward helping you.
Excellent. So our caller should get one of those letters.
Norma, and don't give up on that, and continue to pursue it. And if you need an attorney, hey, Mike Walker here as well. All right, the office is here in Nippers Corner in Jamestown. Let's go next to Glenda. Glenda, good morning. Hi, Glenda. Ooh, see, they watch and then they grab the phone. Are you there, Glenda?
Yes.
Go ahead, kiddo.
I'm here.
Yeah, I can hear you. What's your question, sweetie?
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
My question is I have a friend that, yes, sir, are you here?
Yeah, you have to just talk to us on the phone. Ignore the TV now.
Okay.
Okay, you just go ahead and talk. Ignore the TV. Talk to us on the phone.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Off.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. What's your question?
My question is that I have a friend that has kidney cancer, and she's been denied Social Security twice.
Okay, and she's about to give up?
Well, she's being sued.
What level is she at?
Do you know what? Yeah.
What level in the
Well, she's had one kidney and half of the other one removed.
Not that process. I'm talking about in the Social Security process. When you say she's been turned down twice, does that mean that she's asked for a hearing now, or does that mean that she's been all the way through the process 2 times?
Well, honey, I don't know, and I'm going to tell you like it is. I just read the article in the papers. She and I grew up together as children.
Uh-huh.
And I just read this article in the paper on the 13th.
Uh-huh. About her?
Yeah, and her chemotherapy is costing her $8,000 a month.
Yeah.
She has no insurance.
And so, well, there you go. And no insurance. Well, and
the facts aren't lining up with her situation. It's like, as Mike has stated, you have to really document these cases, and hopefully we've gotten the medical information that we need. You've got to stay proactive in making sure that we have Dr. X's information, which might be a vital piece of your case being approved. If she's she's probably getting ready to go in front of the judge. It sounds like where you're applying for a hearing. Make sure that you file these appeals timely within 60 days after they deny you. Make sure that you file the appeal so you'll keep your case processing through the system. But again, it does sound to me, because you said she's got cancer of the kidney and then half the kidney's been removed, that sounds pretty severe to me. So you definitely need to make sure we got all the information to make the correct decision.
Yeah, sometimes I get the sense, and I don't know if it's the case here, that it's a complex process, but you're going to have to, and some of these people are sick, and maybe that's hard for them, but it's got to be some personal responsibility and initiative taken. I guess a lawyer can certainly help with that, but it's not going to magically happen for you.
Right.
And they're sure as heck not going to take it if you just stand before the judge and say, Judge, I'm sick. You're going to have to prove it, and you have to put it together like you're doing almost like a report from back when you were in high school or college, Spell it out in black and white. Is that it?
That's it. And
okay.
The main thing is for the friend of Glenda here to continue with that appeal process, like Daryl said earlier. I mean, as long as that she keeps documenting her process and she goes up in front of the judge with the facts that we're being told, I don't doubt that she's going to be approved easily. It's just that she's not in front of a judge yet.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they will say at the lower levels that they expect your condition to improve within 12 months. And you have to be disabled for 12 or more continuous months to receive disability. So somebody may have thought that she had this surgery that will cure the situation, and it may not have, and she just has to keep fighting for her appeal.
And another factor, we don't know how old this lady is, but the older the individual is, after 50 and on, age is a factor as well. Age coupled with the kidney loss and just half a kidney now, sounds like she's got a pretty good case, and that we need to really stay on top of that medically, make sure we get the information.
Okay, listen, as we wrap things up, just a couple minutes, I want to remind folks one more time that the Social Security office is moving, and let's put that graphic up just so we can remind folks it's going to be later this month. It's going to be moving, as we see up there, to 120 Athens Way over there in Metro Center, and this is the Nashville District Office. All right, there'll be a big grand opening with hot dogs and...
We probably will have an open house, but again, we don't own the building.
You don't own the building?
Builder's building it to our specs.
Okay, but there will be, like we said, most of the time people don't have to go all the way to the office. They can do it by the phone or, as you say, with your legal practice and your clients, almost as many as you can, get them online, correct?
Absolutely.
Is it faster that way?
I think it's faster that way, and then plus you don't have to worry about people losing things in the mail. You've got a printout that says, yes, I applied, and you can prove that. Whereas if you mail in an application, they get so much paperwork at Social Security Administration, it's unbelievable. So it's very conceivable that your paperwork, even though it was mailed in, did not get processed properly. So I encourage everybody out there to apply online if they can.
Go that direction. Well, listen, Mike, terrific job. Really appreciate you coming on. We'll have to do this again with you if you're able to come back on, all right?
Anytime.
I don't really need to say, Daryl. Great job, as always, my friend.
You're my pal.
And I want to apologize to our viewers. When you guys come on, these calls sometimes are a little bit complex. We can't get to them all, and there's several calls we weren't able to get to. But keep in mind, Daryl, and then hopefully down the line as well, Mike, we'll be back on, and we'll be doing this again and again and again and follow the process, help as many people as we can.
Don't give up.
That's the key. Do not give up. And if you feel as though you've met your end of the line yourself and what you can do, consider a lawyer. As you say, you don't have to pay them out of pocket. They only get money if you win your claim. Gentlemen, thank you again both for coming on.
Thank you.
Take a break. I'll be back to wrap things up with a programming note for tomorrow, folks. Stay with us.